I never thought I'd see him again. Not like this. Not when I'd finally learned to breathe without the weight of his rejection crushing my chest. The mall was crowded that Saturday afternoon, the kind of chaotic energy that makes you feel invisible in the best way. I was there with Sophia, my husband's sister, picking up a few things before the family dinner that evening. She was laughing about something her brother had said that morning, and I was smiling, genuinely at peace for the first time in years. Then I saw him. Marcus. He was standing near the fountain with two other men, all of them dressed in expensive casual wear, the kind that screams money but tries to look effortless. His laugh carried across the open space, loud and confident, the same laugh that used to make me feel safe before it became the sound of my humiliation. My feet stopped moving. Sophia noticed immediately. Amara? You okay? Her hand touched my arm, concern flickering across her elegant features. I couldn't answer. Every muscle in my body had locked up, my mind flooding with memories I'd spent 3 years trying to bury. Marcus. The man who'd promised me forever and then kicked me out of his apartment when I lost my job. The man who'd told me I was too much work, and bringing him down. The man who'd made me feel like being poor and black meant I deserved nothing. That's him, I whispered, my voice barely audible. Sophia's eyes sharpened instantly. She came from a world where threats were assessed in seconds, where danger wore many faces. The ex. I nodded. She straightened, her posture shifting into something protective and dangerous. Do you want to leave? I should have said yes. I should have turned around and walked away, preserved the peace I'd fought so hard to build. But something in me refused. I'd spent too long running, too long believing I was the problem. No, I said, lifting my chin. I'm not hiding anymore. We walked forward and I told myself to breathe, to remember who I was now. I wasn't that broken girl anymore. I was Amara Castillo, wife of Miguel Castillo, one of the most powerful men in the Spanish underworld. I had family now, protection, love, respect. But old wounds run deep. Marcus saw me before we reached him. His expression went from casual to shocked to something ugly in the span of seconds. He said something to his friends and they all turned to look at me. Well. His voice carried that same condescending tone I remembered. Look who it is. I stopped a few feet away, Sophia beside me like a silent guardian. Marcus. Demamara. Still shopping at places like this. His eyes raked over me with cruel amusement. Thought you'd be at a thrift store or something. His friends laughed. The sound made my stomach turn. I'm just here picking up a few things, I said calmly, refusing to give him the reaction he wanted. Yeah, I bet. He stepped closer, his smile sharp. You know, I heard you disappeared after I kicked you out. What happened? Finally realized nobody else would want you either. The words hit like physical blows, each one designed to reopen old wounds. Sophia's hand tightened on my arm, but I squeezed back, telling her silently to wait. I'm doing fine, Marcus, I said quietly. Better than fine, actually. He laughed, loud and mocking. Sure you are. That why you're still wearing cheap clothes and looking like you shop at? Watch your mouth. Sophia's voice was ice, her accent thickening with barely controlled rage. Marcus's eyes flicked to her, dismissive. And who's this? Your new friend? She paying for your stuff now? Something in his tone, his absolute certainty that I was still beneath him, still worthless, made something inside me crack. Not break. Crack open. And underneath was steel. You don't know anything about my life now, I said, my voice steady. I know enough. He stepped even closer, close enough that I could smell his cologne, expensive and suffocating. I know you were nothing when you were with me and you're still nothing now. Nobody wants a broke black girl with no education and no prospects. I did you a favor letting you go when I did. The mall seemed to quiet around us, or maybe that was just my perception narrowing to this moment, this man, this final confrontation with my past. You didn't let me go, I said softly. You threw me away. There's a difference. His face twisted with anger. Because you were dead weight. You lost your job and expected me to carry you. I don't do charity cases. I lost my job because the company downsized. I was looking for work every single day. Not hard enough. He was almost in my face now, his voice rising. You wanted to live off me like some kind of parasite. Well, I don't support lazy. He never finished the sentence. What happened next occurred so fast I barely processed it. Marcus's hand came up, and whether he meant to point at me or push me I'll never know, but his fingers made contact with my shoulder, shoving me backward. I stumbled and Sophia caught me. And then the world exploded. I didn't see Miguel arrive. One moment Marcus was standing there, triumph in his eyes, and the next he was on the ground, Miguel's hand around his throat, pressing him down against the marble floor with terrifying calm. "Did you just put your hands on my wife?" Miguel's voice was soft, deadly, the kind of quiet that makes smart people run. Marcus's face was turning red, his hands clawing at Miguel's grip. His friends had backed away, eyes wide, suddenly aware they'd stumbled into something far beyond their understanding. "Miguel, stop." I moved forward, my hand on his shoulder. "He's not worth it." My husband's dark eyes met mine, and I saw the rage there, the absolute fury that someone had dared to touch me, to hurt me. But underneath that was something else. Trust. He was asking me what I wanted. "Let him go," I said quietly. "Please." Miguel released Marcus's throat but didn't move away, still crouched over him like a predator deciding whether to finish the kill. Marcus gasped for air, terror finally replacing his arrogance. "You have 5 seconds to apologize to my wife," Miguel said, his accent rolling over the words like thunder. "And then you will leave. And if I ever hear that you've spoken to her, looked at her, or even thought about her again, I will make you disappear. Do you understand?" Marcus tried to speak, choked, tried again. I didn't know she was." "Apologize." Miguel's voice dropped even lower. I'm sorry, Amara, I'm sorry. You should have felt satisfying. It should have felt like victory. But all I felt was tired. Tired of this man, tired of the past, tired of carrying the weight of his cruelty. "Get up and leave," I said. Marcus scrambled to his feet, his friends already halfway to the exit. He looked at me one last time and I saw it in his eyes. The realization of what he'd lost, what he'd thrown away, what I'd become without him. Then he ran. If you've ever had to face someone who made you feel small, drop a comment below. What would you have said to them? Sometimes sharing these moments helps us heal together. Miguel rose to his full height, immediately turning to me, his hands gentle as they framed my face. "Are you hurt? Did he hurt you?" "I'm fine," I whispered, but my hands were shaking now, the adrenaline catching up with me. He pulled me against his chest, his arms wrapping around me like a fortress. Sophia appeared on my other side, her hand rubbing my back, both of them creating a wall of protection and love. "I'm sorry," Miguel murmured into my hair. "I should have been here sooner." I was parking the car when Sophia texted me what was happening. So she had texted him. Of course she had. That's what family did. "You came exactly when I needed you," I said, pulling back to look at him. "But I was handling it." A small smile touched his lips. "I know you were. But he put his hands on you. That I cannot forgive. He's not worth your time. You are worth everything." His thumb brushed my cheek. "And anyone who doesn't see that is a fool." We left the mall shortly after, Miguel insisting we skip the shopping and go straight home. Security had appeared from somewhere. His men were always close even when invisible, and they quietly made sure we weren't followed, that Marcus and his friends had truly left. In the car, Sophia sat in the back with me holding my hand. "You did good, Hermana. You stood your ground." "I almost broke down," I admitted. "But you didn't. That's what matters." Miguel's eyes met mine in the rearview mirror, dark and intense. "Did he always speak to you like that?" I hesitated, then nodded. "Toward the end, yes. When I lost my job, everything changed. He made me feel like I was worthless. Like being poor was a moral failing. Like I didn't deserve basic respect because I couldn't contribute financially." His jaw tightened and I saw his hands grip the steering wheel harder. "If I ever see him again—" "You won't," I interrupted gently. "He's part of my past. You're my future. And present," Sophia added with a small smile. "You're stuck with this family now." I laughed and it felt good, releasing some of the tension coiled in my chest. I can think of worse fates. When we got home, the family was already gathering for dinner. Miguel's parents, his brothers, their wives, children running through the halls of the estate with joyful chaos. This was my life now. This warmth, this acceptance, this unshakable belonging. Mama Rosa, Miguel's mother, took one look at my face and pulled me into the kitchen. "What happened?" she demanded, her eyes sharp. Miguel told her while I sat at the kitchen island, accepting the cup of tea she pressed into my hands. Rose's expression darkened with each word. "This man," she said when he finished. "He will not bother you again." It wasn't a question. It was a statement of fact. In this family, threats were neutralized, problems were solved, and the people they loved were protected at all costs. "I don't want violence because of me," I said quietly. Rose's hand covered mine, warm and firm. "Mija, it's not violence. It's protection. There is a difference. This man hurt you, threw you away like trash, and today he dared to put hands on you. Miguel showed restraint by only scaring him. In the old days." She trailed off, shaking her head. "In the old days he wouldn't have left that mall," Miguel finished darkly. "Miguel." He moved to my side, his hand on my shoulder. "I mean it, Amara. You are Castillo now. That means something in this city. It means no one touches you without consequences." I knew what he was. I'd known from almost the beginning what this family was, what they did, the power they held in the shadows of this city. It should have scared me. Maybe it would have scared the old Amara, the one who still believed in fairy tales and simple good and evil. But I'd learned that the world wasn't simple. I'd learned that cruelty wore expensive suits and pleasant smiles. I'd learned that sometimes the monsters were the ones society respected, and sometimes the protectors were the ones society feared. "I know," I said, turning to take his hand. "And I'm grateful. For all of it. For you." His expression softened and he lifted my hand to his lips. "You never have to be grateful for being loved, mi vida. It's not a gift. It's what you deserve." Tears burned behind my eyes, but I blinked them back. How did I get so lucky? Luck had nothing to do with it. Sophia appeared in the doorway, a knowing smile on her face. "You walked into Miguel's club 3 years ago looking for work, and my brother took one look at you and forgot how to speak Spanish. It was destiny." I laughed despite myself, remembering that night. I'd been desperate, nearly homeless, applying everywhere, including places I probably shouldn't have. Miguel's club was upscale, exclusive, and I had no business thinking they'd hire me. But I'd walked in anyway, resume in hand, determination in my spine. And Miguel had hired me on the spot. "I thought you were crazy," I admitted to him. "Hiring me when I had no experience in high-end hospitality." "I was crazy," he agreed. "Crazy about you from that first moment. You didn't even know me. I knew enough. I saw a woman who'd been broken but refused to stay down. I saw strength. I saw beauty. I saw home. This story is hitting you in the feels. Show some love with a like. Your support keeps these real, raw stories coming. Let me know you're feeling this." Rosa made a satisfied sound. "And now look. 3 years married and you still look at each other like teenagers. This is how it should be." Dinner that night was loud and chaotic and exactly what I needed. The family rallied around me without making me feel fragile, sharing stories and laughter, pulling me into debates about everything from football to the best way to make paella. This was belonging. Not because of money or status, but because of acceptance. They'd taken me in not despite my past but including it. They'd made space for my pain and helped me transform it into strength. Later in our bedroom, Miguel held me close. "Talk to me. I know you're still processing." I was quiet for a moment, gathering my thoughts. Seeing him today brought back everything I thought I'd moved past. All the shame, the worthlessness, the fear that maybe he was right about me. He wasn't. I know that now. Logically I know. But emotionally, there's still this part of me that flinches. That expects to be abandoned again. His arms tightened around me. "I need you to hear me, Amara. Really hear me. You could lose everything tomorrow. Every material thing, every dollar, every status symbol, and I would still be here. You are not valuable to me because of what you have or what you can provide. You are valuable because you are you. Your heart, your mind, your soul. That's what I fell in love with. That's what I will love until my last breath." The tears came then, hot and healing, releasing 3 years of residual pain I hadn't even known I was carrying. "I love you," I whispered against his chest. "I love you so much it scares me sometimes." "Good." I could hear the smile in his voice. "Be scared with me. Build this life with me. Let me prove every single day that you are cherished." We lay in the darkness, wrapped in each other, and I felt the last piece of Marcus's influence crumble away. He'd taken so much from me. My confidence, my sense of worth, my belief that I deserved good things. But he hadn't taken everything. He hadn't broken the core of who I was. And now I was here in the arms of a man who saw all of me and loved all of me, part of a family that would go to war for me, living a life I'd never even dared to dream about. The next morning I woke to find Miguel already up, standing by the window with his phone pressed to his ear. His voice was low, rapid Spanish, the tone making it clear this wasn't a casual conversation. When he hung up, I sat up. "Everything okay?" He turned, his expression carefully neutral. "Marcus filed a police report last night." My stomach dropped. "What?" "He's claiming I assaulted him without provocation. That I attacked him in the mall for no reason. That's not what happened. He pushed me first, I know, mi amor. And so does everyone else who was there. Sofia already has witness statements, and the mall security footage clearly shows him putting his hands on you first. He crossed to the bed, sitting beside me. He won't win this. He's desperate and stupid, trying to strike back the only way he can think of. I don't want you in trouble because of me." His hand cupped my face. "I'm not in trouble. He is. By the end of today, that report will disappear and he will have much bigger problems to worry about." I wanted to ask what that meant. I didn't. There were parts of Miguel's world I understood existed without needing the details. "I never wanted any of this," I said quietly. "I just wanted to move on." "I know. And you will. But first we handle this properly. He doesn't get to hurt you and then play victim. That's not how this works." Sofia arrived an hour later with her laptop and an update. The police already dropped it. Apparently, multiple witnesses came forward to confirm that Marcus initiated contact and pushed you first. Self-defense is a beautiful thing. "That was fast," I said. She smiled. "We know people. But honestly, the footage was damning enough. He's lucky Miguel only choked him a little. Could have been much worse." "Sofia," Miguel said warningly. "What?" "I'm just saying. In the old country, touching a man's wife like that? He'd be missing fingers at minimum." She shrugged, unrepentant. "Modern restraint is so boring." Despite everything, I laughed. This family was going to take some getting used to, but I was learning to appreciate their particular brand of protective violence. The days passed and I heard nothing more from or about Marcus. Miguel assured me it was handled and I chose to believe him and let it go. I had better things to focus on. My new business venture, the charity work I'd started with Rosa, the life I was building. Then 3 weeks later I got a message. It was from an unknown number, a long text that appeared on my phone while I was having coffee with some of the other wives in the family. "Mar, this is Marcus. Please don't delete this. I know I have no right to contact you after everything, but I needed you to know something. I'm leaving the city, moving across the country for a new job. But before I go, I need to say this. I'm sorry. Really truly sorry. Not because your husband scared me, though he absolutely did, but because I've spent the last few weeks thinking about who I was back then and who I am now, and I'm ashamed. You deserved better. You deserved respect and support and love, and I gave you cruelty instead. I told myself you were the problem, but the problem was always me. My ego, my selfishness, my inability to see value in anything that didn't directly benefit me. You were never worthless. I was just too blind and too broken to see what I had. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even deserve a response. I just needed you to know that you were right to leave, right to build a new life, right to find someone who actually deserves you. I hope you're happy. Really happy. Not because of money or status, but because of love. You always wanted that. I hope you found it. Take care, Amara." I stared at the message for a long time. The wives noticed my silence. "Bad news?" Elena, Marco's wife, asked gently. "No," I said slowly. "Just unexpected closure." I showed them the message. They read it with varying expressions of skepticism. "Could be genuine," Sofia said. "Could also be manipulation. Hard to tell with men like that." "Does it matter?" I asked. "Whether he means it or not, he's leaving. It's done." "What will you say back?" Elena asked. I thought about it. Thought about all the things I could say, the anger I could express, the ways I could reject his apology and make him feel small the way he'd made me feel small. But I was tired of carrying that weight. I typed a simple response. "I hope you learn to be better. For your sake and everyone else's. Goodbye, Marcus." Then I blocked the number and set down my phone. "That's it." Sofia looked almost disappointed. "That's it," I confirmed. "He doesn't get more of my energy. He doesn't get more of my time. He got his apology off his chest and I acknowledged it. Done. Rosa, who'd been quiet through the whole exchange, nodded approvingly. This is wisdom, Mija. Knowing when to close a door completely. Some people think closure means a big dramatic scene. Sometimes it just means saying goodbye and walking away. That night I told Miguel about the message. He read it, his expression unreadable. How do you feel? He asked. Free, I said honestly. I think that was the last thread connecting me to that version of myself. The one who believed his lies. Now it's cut and I'm just free. He pulled me close, kissing the top of my head. Good. You deserve that freedom. You deserve all of it. We stood on our balcony overlooking the city, the lights stretching out before us like stars. This was my life now. These were my people. This was my home. I thought about the girl I'd been 3 years ago, scared, abandoned, convinced she was worthless. I thought about everything that had happened since then, all the growth and pain and joy and transformation. And I realized something important. Marcus hadn't destroyed me. He'd tested me and I'd survived. And in surviving, I'd become someone stronger, someone clearer, someone who knew her own value independent of anyone else's opinion. Thank you, I said quietly. Miguel looked down at me. For what? For seeing me. The real me. For loving that person. Mi vida, it's the easiest thing I've ever done. His hand found mine, our fingers interlocking naturally. You make it easy to love you. Even when I'm difficult? Especially then. Your fire, your strength, your refusal to be diminished. That's what captured my heart from the beginning. I leaned into him, feeling the solid warmth of his body, the steady beat of his heart. This was real. This was lasting. This was the love I'd always deserved but never thought I'd find. The next morning I deleted the entire message thread with Marcus. Erased it from my phone, from my memory, from my story. He'd been a chapter, but he wasn't the book. He wasn't even the main plot. He was a painful lesson that led me to my true destination. At breakfast, the family was already discussing plans for the weekend. A cousin's wedding, a business dinner, a charity gala Rosa was organizing. I was included in all of it, my opinion sought, my presence expected. Amara, you'll come with me to finalize the catering, yes? Rosa asked. I need someone with good taste and you always know what works. Of course, I said, smiling at her. And Saturday we need you at the warehouse, Marco added. The new security system needs a woman's perspective on the placement. Since when do you trust anyone's perspective but your own? Sophia teased her brother. Since Amara pointed out that our cameras were all positioned for height and completely missed ground level approaches, he replied. She sees things we miss. Miguel's hand found mine under the table, squeezing gently. Pride and love radiated from him without a single word. This was family. Not perfect, not simple, but real and loyal and unshakable. Later, in my office, because yes, I had an office now, a space in the family's legitimate business operations where I worked on community outreach and business development, I found myself reflecting on the journey. 3 years ago, I'd been crying on a street corner, everything I owned in a backpack, nowhere to go and no one to call. I'd felt invisible, disposable, less than human. Now I was here, married to a man who treated me like a queen. Part of a family that would burn down cities to protect me. Running programs that helped women in situations like the one I'd escaped. Making a difference. The transformation wasn't just external. Money and safety and status. It was internal. I'd reclaimed my worth. I'd remembered who I was beneath the abuse and rejection. I'd learned that my value wasn't determined by anyone's ability to see it. My phone buzzed. A message from Miguel: thinking about you. Always. I smiled, typing back. Love you. See you tonight. 3 simple words that meant everything. That represented safety, commitment, future. Everything Marcus had promised and failed to deliver, Miguel gave me effortlessly every single day. As I worked through the afternoon, I thought about all the women out there still trapped in situations like my old one. Still believing the lies of men who made them feel small. Still thinking they deserved the crumbs they were offered. I made a note to expand the outreach program. To create more resources. To be the hand reaching back that I desperately needed 3 years ago. Because that was the other side of my transformation. Responsibility. I'd been saved, loved, lifted up. Now it was my turn to do that for others. When Miguel came to pick me up that evening, he found me buried in plans and proposals, my desk covered with notes. Working hard, he asked, amusement in his voice. Always, I replied, looking up at him. Rosa wants to expand the women's shelter program. I'm trying to figure out funding and locations. He moved behind my chair, his hands on my shoulders, kneading gently. You know we'll fund whatever you need. I know. But I want to do this right. Sustainable. Something that lasts beyond family money. This is why I love you, he murmured. You think like a builder, not a consumer. I leaned back against him, tired but satisfied. I had good teachers. You had good instincts. We just gave you room to use them. Driving home, I looked out at the city passing by, the streets I'd once walked alone and afraid, now familiar and safe. Everything had changed. Everything except the core of who I was. That girl on the street corner 3 years ago, she was still in here. Still fighting, still hoping, still believing that better things were possible. He just had better weapons now. Better armor. Better allies. If you've found strength in your struggle, if you've rebuilt yourself after someone tried to tear you down, this channel is for you. Subscribe and join a community that believes in second chances and new beginnings. Your story isn't over. Sometimes it's just beginning. At home, the family was gathering again. They did this often, drawn to each other like magnets, finding comfort and joy in constant connection. Children ran through the halls. Women laughed in the kitchen. Men argued about soccer in the living room. And I was part of it all. Not a guest. Not an outsider. Family. Rosa caught my hand as I passed through the kitchen. You look happy, Mija. I am, I said honestly. Really, truly happy. She studied my face, her experienced eyes seeing layers I probably didn't even recognize. You've made peace with your past. It wasn't a question, but I nodded anyway. I have. Finally. Good. The past is for learning, not living. You learned. Now you live. She patted my cheek with maternal affection. And you teach others to do the same, yes? This is important work you're doing. I'm trying. You're succeeding. Already, 3 women have left bad situations because of your program. 3 women have safe places to sleep because you fought for funding. 3 families are being rebuilt because you refuse to let your pain be meaningless. Her eyes were fierce with pride. This is legacy, Amara. Real legacy. Tears pricked my eyes. I'd never thought about it that way, that my pain could become someone else's salvation. That my story could light the way for others. Thank you, I whispered. For everything. For accepting me. For making me family. We didn't make you anything, child. We just recognized what was already there. He squeezed my hand. Now go. Your husband is giving me impatient looks because I'm keeping you. I laughed and went to find Miguel, who was indeed watching from the doorway with barely concealed impatience. Can't share you even for a moment, he complained, pulling me close. You don't have to share. I'm yours. But that doesn't mean I'm not also theirs. I gestured to the family filling his home. That's how this works, right? I belong to all of you. Yes, he said simply. And we all belong to you. This is family. That night, lying in bed, I thought about Marcus one final time. Not with anger or pain or even pity. Just with acknowledgement. He'd been a part of my story. A painful chapter that taught me what I wouldn't tolerate, what I deserved, who I really was beneath the surface. And then I let him go. Completely. Finally. The last ghost of my past fading into the darkness where it belonged. In its place was light. Love. Future. Purpose. I'd been poor and abandoned, thrown away like trash, told I was worthless. And I'd risen from those ashes to become someone who mattered. Not because of who I'd married, but because of who I'd always been beneath the lies. Strong. Valuable. Worthy of love. Marcus had kicked me at that mall thinking he was still dealing with the broken girl he'd destroyed. But he'd been wrong. That girl was gone. In her place stood a woman who knew her worth, who had family that would move mountains for her, who was building a legacy of her own. And that woman, she was finally, completely, beautifully free. Miguel's arm tightened around me in sleep and I smiled in the darkness. This was home. This was love. This was everything I'd survived to find. The past was gone. The future was bright. And I was exactly where I belonged.